This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho. There's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to a very special sports catastrophe on a birthday boy. This will be the second last birthday boy I ever do for the sports catastrophe thing. I've done this thing for 4 years, and I feel like it's time to let it go because there are a lot of days that there are a lot of events I have covered. Like there's a potential like 730 events for 4 years. That's like 2,800. But the fact of the matter is that this will be my second last birthday boy. But don't worry, the last birthday boy is someone I never thought I would get to. But regardless. So this is a Green Bay Packers icon who's been in his entire 15 years with the Packers as a linebacker. He's been in the Pro Football Hall of Fame since 1978 and was the anchor of the defense of the 1960s for Vince Lombardi of the Packers, giving them 5 NFL titles and victories in 2 Super Bowls. His name is Ray Nitschke, who was born December 29th, 1936. He was born in Elmwood Park, Illinois, the youngest of 3 sons. His father died in a car crash in 1940, and his mother died of a blood clot when Ray was only 13. Older brothers Robert Jr. and Richard would raise Ray on their own. He would head into high school and all that. Losing both parents caused him to engage in fights with other kids in the neighborhood because the lack of a parental disciplinarian to quell his rage caused him all that. He was a poor student, and his grades caught up with him, and he was declared academically ineligible. However, he got over his embarrassment to raise his grades enough, and he actually grew to be over 6 feet tall to 6'3". He started on the varsity football team. He also basketball. His baseball skills were such that the St. Louis Browns, the former Baltimore Orioles, wanted to give him a $3,000 signing bonus. However, Nitschke decided to accept a college football scholarship. So he wanted to play in a Big Ten university because he wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. Well, why not? So he decided to go to the University of Illinois, which was pretty impressive because, he was from the state of Illinois. So, in Illinois, he had troubles. He smoked, drank heavily, and fought at the drop of a hat. His grades would suffer at college. Fortunately, though, he didn't drop out or was not kicked out of school. In his sophomore year in 1955, because back then the NCAA did not allow freshman players to play on the varsity squads. In his sophomore year, Nitschke was quarterback, but then he was moved to fullback because there was depletion of players in the offensive backfield. And Nitschke wanted to quarterback the Fighting Illinois to the Rose Bowl and all that. At this time, college football referred to single platoon football, meaning that those players on offense had to switch to defense and vice versa when ball possession changed. Nitschke would play linebacker on defense, and he was very skilled in all that. Nitschke would lose 4 front teeth on the opening kickoff against Ohio State against Illinois. Nitschke never wore a face mask, and one of the Buckeye players' helmets hit him in the mouth, knocking out 2 teeth initially, and the other 2 were hanging by their roots. He'd still played the rest of the game. Should have worn a helmet and all that. So anyway, that's what happened. So Nitschke idolized the Bears, and he was hoping to be drafted by them in the 1958 NFL Draft. Surprisingly, the Bears didn't draft him and all that. The Chicago Cardinals were the first pick and took King Hill, a quarterback from Rice. It was a lottery bonus pick because at the time, if you would win the draft lottery, and the Cardinals were automatically awarded the pick because the first overall pick was a lottery bonus. Every franchise had the number 1 pick at one time or another. The Cardinals used it on King Hill from Rice, which failed miserably. The Cardinals' next pick, John David Crow, halfback from A&M, Texas A&M, that is, was much better. Green Bay took Dan Curry, center from Michigan State. So the Cardinals took King Hill. and John David Grope. The Bears took Chuck Howley, a guard from West Virginia, who would actually be much better off as a Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl V with the Cowboys. The Chicago Cardinals took Jim McCusker, tackle in the second round. Green Bay took Jim Taylor, fullback from LSU, which was huge because of his running prowess. Packers took that. The Bears would take Willard Deverell, a wide receiver from SMU, which was shocking. The Cardinals would take Bobby Jack Oliver from Baylor. The Cardinals would take Larry Cowher, 26 center. Green Bay took Dick Christie, a good running back from North Carolina State. I think the first great black player in North Carolina State history. The Bears took Ed Cook, an end or wide receiver from Maryland. And then with the 36th pick, the Packers took Nitschke. So Nitschke was upset that the Bears would not draft him. But it was the greatest draft in franchise's history because they took Dan Curry, Jim Taylor, and right guard Jerry Kramer, 39th overall. So 3 picks after Nitschke was Jerry Kramer. They had a terrible rookie season his rookie season was terrible. The Packers only won 1 game. But it didn't matter because Nitschke switched to his number 66 jersey, and Vince Lombardi, the former Giants offensive coordinator, who was part of the greatest game ever played, and I talked about that game yesterday in my On This Day, would become head coach. Nitschke became a full-time starter by 1962, the anchor of a disciplined defense that helped win 5 NFL titles, plus the first 2 Super Bowls in the 1960s. He was the 1962 NFL Championship Game MVP, and that was when the Packers were really good and only lost 1 game that year, 14-1 overall, including the playoffs. In Super Bowl I, Nitschke made a sack, and in Super Bowl II, he got 9 tackles to lead the Packers defense. Nitschke was a starter through 1970, but somehow in 1971, Dan Devine, who became the Packers coach somehow before he went to Notre Dame, benched him for Jim Carter, which was stupid. Nitschke's last regular season game was when the Packers faced the Saints, December 17, 1972. And helped the Packers win their 10th game, their best regular season mark since 1966. Unfortunately, the Packers would lose to Washington in the divisional round of the playoffs, but Nitschke went to training camp in 1973, but then decided to retire. He was known for his strength and toughness. One major story was in 1960 on the Packers practice field, September 1st. A 1,000-pound steel coaching tower was blown over by a strong gust of wind on top of Nitschke. Can you imagine 1,000 pounds? Lombardi ran over to see what had happened, but when it told it and had fallen on Nitschke, Lombardi said, "He'll be fine, get back to work." According to Nitschke's biography, a spike was driven into his helmet, but didn't injure him. The helmet with the hole is on display at the Packer Hall of Fame. So that's just amazing how Ray Nitschke survived that thing. Anyway, Nitschke was married June 26, 1961, and unfortunately, she couldn't have children, but they adopted 3. All that. Nitschke's wife actually was calming for Ray to focus on his career and all that. He became popular in Green Bay, even having his phone number and home address in the Green Bay phone book. Ray Nitschke did an autobiography on him, but the reviews were not great. It says, "This lacks the wider appeal of Instant Replay." The book, was it by Karras? Instant Replay. Of an instant replay, and it's analytical to the juicy Belfort genre. But Packer fans and others in the league who admired Nitschke's professional skills might pick this up as a reminder of the man beneath the armor. He even owned an automobile dealership in Green Bay in the late 80s. And all that. So anyway, he was a guard in The Longest Yard in 1974. Well, the 74 thing. Nitschke would die of a heart attack at age 61 in 1998. His number 66 was retired by the Packers in 1983, the fourth of only 6 numbers retired by the Packers. Like I said last week when I talked about Paul Hornung, it's a shame his number 5 is not retired yet. The only other Lombardi era player to have his number retired was Bart Starr. Green Bay has named one of its 2 outdoor practice fields Ray Nitschke Field and all that. Well, number 66. The last player to wear number 66 for the Packers wasn't Nitschke. It was actually an offensive lineman by the name of Lawrence Pfohl, Pfohl, a.k.a. Lex Luger. Can you believe that? Regardless of that, he was named the NFL's all-time top linebacker for the 50th anniversary season in the NFL. And he made the 75th anniversary team as well. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1978. All that. And actually, the Hall of Fame had a luncheon the day before of its induction ceremony, attended by most of the living players and honoring the new inductees. Nitschke always spoke at this luncheon, and the luncheon was actually named after him. So anyway, he was pretty impressive and all that. There's even a bridge named after him in Green Bay. Well, because it's Ray freaking Nitschke. What do you expect? But yeah, Ray Nitschke was a tough son of a bitch, and he knew how to get Packer fans on his side. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond.